So my schedule right now has been kind of hectic, kind of busy. I'm all over the place. I know a lot of players, they sign with certain agencies, they get sent somewhere, and that's that. They work out there, they sleep there, they train there, they do everything at that one facility. For me, it's kind of different. I'm from Orange County. I'm from out here in Southern California, so to be out here with my family it's really nice for me. I got my parents with me. They're right here, my brothers. So right now I'm doing some work at Stars. So I'm working speed work with Coach Gary. He's like the speed guru out here. He works with a lot of guys. He did John Ross's 40-yard dash. He worked with him then, Deshaun Jackson, a lot of other dudes. So Gary's awesome. Been working with him for about months now. I love it. So I've been doing speed work with him. Been doing receiver training with Coach Frog at Stars. Haven't really worked with him too much. I've heard of him. My brother, obviously, when he was coming out in the draft like 3 years ago, he worked with Frog. But this is the first time I've really been working with him. I love working with him. But I work with a lot of different guys at receiver. So because I feel like a receiver, you hear different coaches teach different ways, and you can just pick it up in a different way from each coach. So I think it's very beneficial to see it from other coaches, different guys. So I love to go to all different type of receiver coaches. And then weightlifting, I'll lift with my dad. He's a bodybuilder. I've been lifting with my dad for a long time now. So lifting with my dad has always been a thing that I've been doing my whole life. So I'll lift with my dad probably 3 times a week. So Monday typically looks like I have a 8 a.m. speed session with Coach Gary and the other guys that are working out with us. Then after that, I'll go home, eat something, relax a bit, maybe have an interview with the team, whatever I have. And then usually at 2, I have a lower body lift. And that's usually either I get to go with my dad, I either go with my dad and do stuff with him at the gym, or I do it with Gary. Gary does he has an awesome little program that he does with his coaches, with his guys. So I'll either do that, or like I said, I'll go with Gary at this facility at Stars and do lower body. And then after that, 2 days is usually the most I'll do right now, because you don't want to exert your body too much. You kind of burn out if you do too much. Injuries happen. So two workouts is the most I'll do in a day. That's usually a Monday kind of day for me. Usually I'll come home after that workout, maybe get some rehab. I do a lot of rehab. And then a Tuesday is more position specific. So I usually do a receiver training on Tuesday, whether that's earlier in the day, later in the day. It really depends. Like I said, I work with a lot of different dudes, so it really depends. And then I'll get usually upper body lift on Tuesdays and Thursdays, making sure I'm keeping my, get that bench press right for pro day. But that's usually how the week goes. And then Wednesday repeats of a Monday and a Friday. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is speed. Then Tuesday, Thursdays, you have the position work with the upper body lift. So my family is huge. Growing up, I've been very blessed to have a very supportive family. I've had a dad who's been there the whole ride. I give him most of the credit to why I'm where I am today, athletically wise. Then my mother, obviously, she's been there by our side, all 3 of us. Me and my 2 brothers the whole time. She's more on the academic side. My father was more on the athletic side. So when I was younger, all 3 of us would come home from school, and my mom checked all our homework. She made sure we had all the homework done. A lot of kids say their parents will ask them, "You get your homework done?" And the kids would be like, "Yeah, I got it done." But then the kids are just saying that so the parents get off their case. But my mom was the parent that actually checked the work and make sure we got all the homework done. So at a young age, she kind of instilled in us that academics are really important, and we understood that. So once we got to high school and college, she wasn't on our case too much. She would check the semester grade reports and whatnot. We'd go over those, but when it came to homework and everything else, she knew we were taking care of that. So she instilled that in us at a young age, and I can't thank her enough for doing that, because football doesn't last forever, and after football you gotta have a plan of what you want to do in life. And academics is a very good start. If you have your head on straight in school, I think there's a high percentage you'll be fine in life. And then my dad, he was a bodybuilder, former bodybuilder. He won Mr. Universe twice and then Mr. World 3 times. So he's very, very hard, very intense when it comes to lifting, when it comes to workouts, anything like that. So he's been helping us become who we are for so long. I played a lot of different sports growing up: football, basketball, soccer. And when I think back, I can't remember a day or a game that he's missed. There's probably, if I can count on one hand how many games he's missed in all 3 sports together. So when it comes to, basketball, soccer, football, he's been to everything. So I really, my dad he's been so supportive with all 3 of us. And like I said, he's the reason why we're here today.
I think it's very important, to grow up with siblings, so we can push each other. You could see how you guys compare growing up, and sometimes you don't get as much competition from other kids until you get to like college or whatever, but it's also good to have someone going through it with you. So it's easier to train with a partner, like even weight bodybuilders, they lift with a partner. It's easier to train with a partner than to go through stuff by yourself. That would seem a little tedious. So I think it was helpful growing up with siblings to go through the workouts with me.
Being at USC was awesome, coming out of high school, I had a lot of offers. I could have chose, a lot of different schools, some SEC schools, they have huge fan bases. But I narrowed it down to Stanford, USC, and Notre Dame. And I think for me, I couldn't have gone wrong with either choice. I think they're all three great institutions. Like I said, my family was very big on academics, so those three schools have awesome academics. Stanford, obviously one of the top programs in the world, and then Notre Dame and USC, also great academics. So for me, it really just came down to like what my gut told me. Notre Dame was awesome. I love Notre Dame. My brother went there. But when I was deciding on where I was going to school, he had just announced that he was going to leave school and enter the draft. So for me, I think if he would have stayed another year, I possibly could have went to Notre Dame because I really liked him coming out of high school. But him leaving, I think it would have been awesome to play with him 1 year, but he left. So I think that's part of the reason why I didn't choose Notre Dame. And then Stanford, obviously I really like Stanford also. I had a brother there at the time. He's a year older than me, Osiris. So he was at Stanford for a year. If I would have chose Stanford, I would have played with him for probably my whole college career. So that would have been also very cool. But I think for Stanford, the biggest thing was, their offense is more run game, more run heavy. They don't throw the ball as much. So I think as a receiver, picking USC was awesome for me because, my first year we had a different offensive coordinator than we do now. But going into my second and third year, we got our offensive coordinator named Graham Harrell. He runs the air raid offense and he throws the ball a heck ton. So we got a lot of catches. We got a lot of balls at USC. And I think that just benefited me and the offense as a whole because, as a receiver, you got a great quarterback that can throw you the ball and an offensive coordinator that's throwing the ball. So I think USC was awesome choice for me. Like you said, the fan base is amazing. They loved me there. They were very supportive. Academics was awesome. I majored in business, and they have a great business school in the Marshall School of Business. So I couldn't ask for anything more. So growing up, like I said, I played a lot of different sports. Football, basketball, soccer. And I think, once I got to high school, I kind of made a decision to, focus on football more because my goal as a young kid was always to, play professionally, whether it was basketball, probably not soccer. I love playing soccer, but here in the United States, your opportunities in soccer are kind of limited in terms of, money-wise and pay-wise. So it was either between basketball and football. And then once I got to high school, I knew football was for me. I loved it. And I decided to, really focus on football. So I stopped playing the other sports and just played football from then on. And I think the dedication and the work ethic is something that I really, inherited from my dad. He was, like I said, very tough on us. When he was a bodybuilder, he told us his stories of what he had to do and what he went through. His diet was very intense. He told us he'd go out to the clubs or whatever, he'd go out to parties. And if there was too much dancing going on, he was sweating too much, he'd sit down and stop dancing because he couldn't lose weight because he had a competition in three or so weeks. So he would sit down and just sit and not move just so he wouldn't burn calories. So, he would tell us these stories of how dedicated he was, and he'd try to really instill that in us. And I think I really, picked it up because, when you're around it for so long, you really get a chance to, you don't have really a choice, but to inherit that discipline and that dedication. So going into, high school and college, I really try to bring that with me. Once you get to college, your parents aren't really with you anymore. So once I got to college, I just wanted to be the hardest working guy on the team. So whatever it took, I always did. Whether it was catching 202 balls after practice every day, getting extra lift in, maybe doing extra sets during my workout, during the lift, just whatever it took, rehab. So I think dedication and work ethic is huge in sports. I think everyone, a lot of people talk about it, but it's really hard to talk about it, and then it's a different thing to talk about it, and it's a different thing to do. So I think just, having that work ethic is huge for athletes. working out hard, training hard every day, not missing a beat. So that way when the day does come, that I'm ready.
It makes me very proud, knowing how hard he worked to get to where he's at right now, and watching him go through the same stuff I went through growing up a couple years ago, actually. It brings back memories of what I went through. It's a little different now that COVID's around, but it's cool watching him do it, and it's cool for me to be here to watch him. Hey, Amon-Ra, I'm very proud of you that you've gone this far. I'm excited to see what the future holds for you. I know you're going to do great. Don't worry about pro day, don't worry about draft day. You'll get through it, and I'll be seeing you this season.